On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, Nathan MacKinnon cleans up at the NHL Awards. Not only voted best player by the players, but the writers as well. Let's talk about it. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Let me come into focus here. I don't know. Is it going to work? Who knows? Thank you, everybody, for making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. There we go. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. You can follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche, Instagram, and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions. LockedOnAvalanche@gmail.com, and follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live, and make sure you're subscribed to our subtext as well. Link to that's in the show notes below. And when you do chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, we get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. No surprise where we're going to start today, Kyle. It was just his time. I've been saying it for quite a while now that I really just feel like the writers will right some wrongs here and finally give Nathan MacKinnon his due so he can just complete out that resume, which is already just pretty incredible. And now he's got this. Now he has the Hart as the league MVP, and he wins the Ted Lindsay as the MVP as voted on by the players. So everybody is in agreement that he is the best player in the league this year.
I mean, how can you not? When you look at his resume, you look at this season, it's honestly the greatest season of a member of the Colorado Avalanche. You could debate like time and place, Sakic, Forsberg, I don't care. What Nathan MacKinnon did this year was absolutely incredible. And, I mean, come on. Like, you have the NBA MVP and the NHL MVP in the same city, same year. It's an incredible feat. Like, what a time to be a sports fan in Denver right now. And what you just witnessed in Nathan MacKinnon and this season, there's not enough words you can use, and he's getting the hardware to supplement the lack of words that you can use for this incredible season.
Yeah, it's the type of guy that's not just gonna say like, okay, mission accomplished. So he is gonna be right back out there gunning for not only to win this again, to win a Stanley Cup again. He's got, you had an MVP to your resume along with the Stanley Cup. And for almost everybody, that's a successful career. And yeah, I mean, his career has been a massive success so far, but he's not satisfied. He knows he still has, 10 more years to play, maybe. And he wants to keep winning these awards and Stanley Cups as many as possible. So he's not just going to sit back and be like, I've accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish. He's gonna keep on this. So I agree with you, man. Like his season was we've never seen it before for an Avalanche or Nordiques team. So, and I think the right and the league noticed as far as the players. And I'm going to bring up the voting here in a minute because it was pretty. He had the numbers, man.
Yeah,
like I thought it was going to be razor thin. Kind of wasn't. Go ahead.
And see the thing with Nathan MacKinnon, like I think the big takeaway for non-Avalanche fans, it's going to be shocking to find out this is his first. Just because of the career he's had, you're going to go back and look. You're like, really, this was his first? That's incredible, and it's not going to be his last. I'm pretty sure. The way Nathan MacKinnon's playing, like once he's got that kind of, he's got the hardware now. He's got the Lindsay and the Hart, and now he's going to be in that conversation. He's in that well respected by his peers and the writers. He's going to be up there. It's like he's won it before. He should win it again. He's going to be up there in that Connor McDavid conversation where Connor McDavid doesn't have that cup. Nate has it all right now.
Well, I think, him winning this just kind of closes the gap. I don't know how I want to phrase this. Like we talked about this before, where we feel like Nathan MacKinnon ranks in this whole ranking thing with Connor McDavid, Connor McDavid is just, he's incredible, right? But we were having a conversation of like, we just don't feel like that chasm between Connor McDavid and Nathan MacKinnon is as large as everybody wants to make it out to be. But I feel like that goes for other players too, not just Nathan MacKinnon. I think, yes, Connor McDavid is otherworldly, but so is Nathan MacKinnon.
Mhm.
So is Austin Matthews. Who, in a few years, what are we going to get from Connor Bedard? So I
Yeah.
feel like you just have so many more guys who can gun for this award. And it's not just, every year, Connor McDavid will probably be the favorite to win this every year. But that's why you play the season. And as each season goes on, Connor McDavid will probably win a few more of these, but I don't feel like it's going to be like these runaway victories anymore for him because those gaps are closing from him to other players, not just Nathan MacKinnon. And this year, Nathan MacKinnon had the number of the entire league to do what he did, those 19 game point streaks, the home point streak. It was just, he was doing things that you hadn't seen ever, number one, or close to Gretzky.
Yeah.
And we'll say it again. I really think the league should have turned that one assist around that they didn't give him that ended his streak. But nonetheless, if they did give him that one, it would have ended against Winnipeg when they got blown out, which I think was their last game at home. So he would have tied Gretzky because Gretzky they only had 40 home games in that one season, so he would have tied Gretzky. Nonetheless, he still was right up against him. And when you have those, like, Kucherov had gaudy numbers and he had a great season. But when you're doing the things that MacKinnon did in terms of I'm matching Gretzky for some things, that doesn't go unnoticed by writers.
Yeah, and with this whole MacKinnon McDavid thing, I think it's gone from like how it used to be like Gretzky and Mario Lemieux was down here, two greats, and you observed in two different categories. It feels like fast forward a decade, this is like Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin. Whatever side of that rivalry you were on, you were right when it came to the best player in the league. And I feel like for the 2010s and forward, it's going to be McDavid, MacKinnon, whoever you choose. That's the right answer. They're both incredible talents, and it's just who ends up winning more hardware that year.
And then you see like Kucherov give the most bland interview of bland interviews. I mean, the guy has the personality of a wet blanket. And, I'm sure there were some writers who didn't vote for him. Maybe they take that into account. They shouldn't, but maybe like, his attitude at the All-Star game, that stuff like that doesn't go unnoticed. And I'm just wondering, kind of just sitting here, like, if there were people who didn't vote for him that were maybe on the fence and they see an interview like he did at the award show, they feel like, yeah, okay, I think I picked the right guy in MacKinnon. And if there's some people that picked Kucherov and they see the interview and they were like, man, maybe why did I pick this guy? I'm kind of being, tongue in cheek here, but he just has zero personality. And as far as like a rooting interest goes, how do you not root for someone like Nathan MacKinnon, who hasn't won this award, who at least has some personality, to Nikita Kucherov, who just doesn't know how to smile?
No, and you bring up a good point, and you kind of said it like tongue in cheek and like jokingly, but honestly, his performance in the All-Star game had probably cost him the Ted Lindsay and the respect of a lot of his peers.
Yeah.
And it's like he didn't show up. He just coasted through, and everybody else is kind of having fun and trying to make it an event, and you have him like sandbagging. You're like, okay, whatever. You could have all the best numbers, but if this is how you're going to treat the All-Star game, whatever, dude. And then when it comes to like the Hart, yeah, you could have great gaudy numbers, but what are you doing to advance the game? Like beyond that, like when it comes to off the ice stuff, like if you're going to have that kind of attitude when it comes to the game, like what are they going to do when they put up your highlight? This is the Hart Trophy winner, and they're going to show you like coasting through the All-Star game. This is not good for the game of hockey. You can have all the numbers in the world, but if you want to be the best player that epitomizes the best in the game of hockey, both Lindsay and Hart, it's hard to not choose between MacKinnon and McDavid, and maybe eventually Matthews, depending on what that looks like in the future.
Yeah. All right, let's get our first break in here, and we come back. We'll get a couple subtext comments that are rolling in, and we'll get to the numbers that were this Hart vote. It was a bigger difference than I thought it was going to be. So we'll do that coming up next. First, let's hear from eBay Motors, passion, drive, and patience. Oh, this is timely, right? The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, style, what do we call that, Kyle?
The Hart Trophy winner Nathan MacKinnon trilogy.
Beautiful. eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home the win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. And eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. All right, so let's get to some subtext people here. We're recording minutes after this show ended, so we only got a few. I'm sure there's going to be more tomorrow. Let's see. We got Avs fan forever, well deserved. It's about time he gets the Hart. Although I would have loved to see him get it on a year we got the Cup too. Yeah, I mean, beggars can't be choosers. Very difficult to do both things at the same time. But
there's always next year.
That's well said, like a Red Sox fan. All right, this is from Easton. I think he deserves it. Now he needs a Conn Smythe. People, are we already doing this? Come on, you're clapping, and I get this, but let's enjoy the moment here. We're already on to the what ifs. Come on, folks.
Fire Cogliano, give MacKinnon his job too.
And then Eric simply said about damn time. So you mentioned Cogliano. Credit to Nathan MacKinnon for that. That was the first thing he said when he won the Ted Lindsay was congratulating Cogliano on his career. So is that any surprise? No. Nathan MacKinnon will give up a hat trick to a third line or bottom six forward. Is it a surprise that his first comment when he wins the Ted Lindsay is not about himself? It's about a teammate. Not at all. So that was nice to see. Go ahead if you got something.
No, and it's funny when he was accepting this Hart, how it was just a couple years ago that we were having the conversation when I first joined the show. Will Nathan MacKinnon ever hit 100 points? And now we're talking after 111 and 140 point season. Now he's walking away with the Ted Lindsay and the Hart. We are now in prime Nathan MacKinnon season. It's just a wonderful thing to see.
And I gotta be honest, when he won the Ted Lindsay, in the back of my mind, I was like, here we go. Because the year he didn't win, one of the years he didn't win the Hart, he won the Lady Bing. And you were like, they just gave him the Lady Bing because he had a great season, so they gave him something. And then he wins the Ted Lindsay, and I'm like, but I know that's two different things. The Ted Lindsay, you don't get the results for. At least I haven't seen them. They don't put those up because that's the players. And I don't think they want players to know how big of a gap it was. Maybe I guess we don't want to have hurt feelings or something, but whatever. But when MacKinnon it was because he won the Lindsay, and when they announced the Hart Trophy, MacKinnon was up on the stage because they had all the winners so far up on stage, and he was there. And I'm like, that's maybe going to be a little bit weird if he wins that. You just got to turn around and walk 2 feet. And it's not the big production of him getting up from his seat. So I'm like, oh, no, here we go. It's going to be Kucherov. And Bettman turns around and says something about his trophy cabinet. And was I a little bit surprised? And maybe in that moment, I'm just everything he's been through and being shunned from this award. I was kind of trying to prepare myself for it. But at the same time, I was like, he so deserves it this year. He's more than any other year. So it was a pleasant surprise.
And I think it's funny that you thought they actually considered the production in this award show.
We'll talk about that in a minute. As far as the numbers go for this thing, Nathan MacKinnon obviously was the winner. He had a total of 1,740 points, which the point system works out. You vote first, second, third, fourth, or fifth, and it goes 10 points for first place vote, 7 for a second, 5 for a third, 3 for a fourth, and 1 for a fifth. So he had 137 first place votes. Kucherov had 50. Let that sink. Kucherov had more even numbers across. And when you're, it kind of makes sense as to why he did. But when you have when you're front loaded like that, like Nathan MacKinnon is with 137 first place, you got that thing in the bag. He had 47 second, 8 third, 0 4th place, and 1 5th place. One writer voted him 5th. And I think they do come out with what the writers where they placed people. So interested to see who that person is. Kucherov 51st, 77 second, 33rd, 23 4th, 11 5th. McDavid got, and I won't go through all these, but McDavid got 1 first place vote. Austin Matthews got 2 first place votes. Artemi Panarin got 3, and Connor Hellebuck got 1.
That would be me.
Yeah, you sent that one in. That was a write-in vote. So 1,740 for McKinnon to 1,269 for Kucherov. This was pretty in hand, well in hand for Nathan MacKinnon. Good for him.
Yeah, and it's honestly, it's when you look at that, and it's also surprising McDavid only had 1 and Matthews had 2.
Yes, Matthews had 2. Panarin had 3, and he finished 5th overall. So Panarin had more first place votes. Panarin had more 5th place votes too. He had 58 5th place votes.
Boy, McDavid better hold that Conn Smythe real close.
Yeah. So interesting vote, but yeah. Congrats to Nathan MacKinnon, because it is so well deserved. The award show as a whole, I don't like award shows. I never have. The only one that I really kind of enjoy is the Oscars. Outside of that, they're all terrible. Like, it's just, I don't like the canned laughter. I don't like the canned jokes. So I know people are just ripping this Matt Friend guy, who I genuinely think is funny. But when you put anybody in a role of hosting an award show, it's just doomed for failure. And I think he had a couple good one-liners here and there, but overall, it was just, it's tough. And you are playing to an audience of hockey players, of Nikita Kucherovs. Like, that is what you're doing. And I thought the one thing I thought was funny was the one of the first jokes he told was like, "This is how hockey players are looking at me." And he just has this blank stare. That was happening all through the night. They're cutting to hockey players who are looking at him, and they just have these blank stares. It's a tough room. It's a tough crowd. Did he do the best he could? Sure. But it's an award show. They're dumb. And they're kind of boring. Just tell me who the award goes to. We don't need the big production.
No, I thought Jay Farrow did it best when he's just like, he stopped the entire award show. It's like being in a room full of Jason Statham here. And, like, that wasn't even scripted. He just kept going with it, and like Pete Wentz was all kind of uncomfortable. But it was just a weird award show. Can anyone explain why Daft Punk people were there? And when that Matt Friend guy had the bald cap on and was doing that thing with the Stanley Cup, and Bobrovsky wouldn't even buy in, I was just like, "You've lost the room, my friend. You just get out of there quick."
It was rough. And it kind of went as planned, right? As far as the awards go, Hellebuck got the Vezina, 31 first place votes. Sergei Bobrovsky is the only other guy that got a first place vote. So that was almost unanimous. Quinn Hughes obviously won the Norris. That was a runaway. 172 first place votes for him.
Great speech.
It was a really good speech. And Roman Josi came in second. He had 12 first place votes. So that was not even a question. Connor Bedard won the Calder, and we talked about this a little bit on yesterday's episode. A total of 1,808 points. Faber came in second with 1,464 points. As far as first place votes go, 152 for Bedard to Faber's 42. They were the only two guys that got first place votes. So I didn't think Faber was going to win this. We talked about it yesterday. But he got more first place votes than I thought he would.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe congratulations to everybody, but I think Faber maybe came a little bit closer, even though it wasn't really that close.
Yeah, and honestly, with that voting that close, it's everything that we were saying yesterday. Like, McKinnon and McDavid are going to be synonymous when you're talking about them, and it's going to be the same with Bedard and Faber. I believe, like, going forward, I feel like those are the next two names. They're going to be chasing each other.
from the same draft class, sure.
Yeah.
But you have a handful of guys in the last like 3 drafts that will be, carrying the league in another 10 years. So,
Yep.
all in all, it's an award show. But what matters is whose name's on the award at the end of the day, not the show itself. And for the Avalanche, it was a good night. It was a good night. And Nathan MacKinnon sweeping. So always a good night.
And I like that Bettman comes out there, name drops the draft, good PR move, and then gets right into it. He did good, handled it well, and honestly, everything other than the hosts, it was okay. It's just better being a Nathan MacKinnon fan. If we walked away like any other team, and you had to watch that entire show walking away with no hardware, I would be very upset.
Very upset. Very upset, but also used to it, with the exception of Cale Makar. All right, let's get our last break in, and we have a season grade to get to, sir. That is Fredrik Oloffson. So let's get to that after this. All right, let's hear from FanDuel. We love sports. We love them so much. We never want them to stop, but as the playoffs wind down and really are over at this point, we get fewer games and the sports aren't sportsing like we want them to, but FanDuel lets us keep the sports going whenever we want. All we got to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime that we are in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers, even Kyle Sullivan, with a boost or a bonus daily. That is right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, last bit of business to get to today, and that is a season grade for Fredrik Oloffson. You ready for this one, Kyle?
Oh, I'm glad we got that Nathan MacKinnon conversation out of the way.
You remember the movie Summer School? Like that old 80s movie Summer School?
Yes.
And when they're taking the test at the end and they're running out of time, and I think his name was Chainsaw in the movie. He's just going down he's C, and the guy's like counting down. There's like 30 seconds left. He's just marking everything C. That's what we get with Fredrik Oloffson. C's across the board. No pluses or minuses. Flat C's. YouTube 70%. YouTube and Twitter 70%. Instagram was 59. Threads was 60. If there is a C grade to be had, don't you kind of just feel like Fredrik Oloffson slots in there perfectly? C's get degrees. So it was a good season for him, but a Fredrik Oloffson season.
Yeah, and everything we were saying about LOC the other day, just kind of like trying to find his place and like those stretches where there were no points. I feel like this is a story you could have about Fredrik Oloffson. 57 games, 9 points. 9.
You'd like to see that come up a little bit more.
Yeah, sure. I just want to see him have an identity. Some kind of role. I feel like he was just there. I don't feel like he had a role. And it shows honestly in the stats. He just was kind of a utility player.
I think that's his role, man. Like it's funny. Like I feel like you're right in the fact that you didn't really know what the role of him was, but I thought it became a little bit more defined as the season wore on and into the playoffs. I thought, him being on that fourth line, the last like month or so of the season, I think. And then, like I said, heading into the playoffs, they were noticeable, his line. They just did what they have to do. Like they, especially in the Winnipeg series, I thought they had a great series against Winnipeg. And you just go out there, do what you got to do. Don't give up anything and hand it over to the top line. I thought he did a better job of that. I thought he was way more noticeable in the playoffs than he was in the regular season. Not by the scoring. You're not going to get that from him, just by the effort. And the effort was there with Oloffson. So I thought it was just a good season for him, considering what he's expected to do. And I will be interested to see if the Avalanche want to bring him back. Really interested.
Like the thing is, like the reason we're not diving off a cliff and screaming DF because of his points, it's not like he's giving things away. He's not making problems out there. He's not making mistakes. It's just
dude. Go ahead.
No, he's out there and he's just there, but he's not a problem. But he's not a game changer either. He's just there.
Where is? Let me see what he had. Because am I missing something here? I think. Hang on, career. Where did he play? So okay, they just have the Dallas up here from last year. How come they don't have his stats up from this year?
I have Dallas
for the playoffs.
Oh, for playoffs?
Yeah.
Oh, did he?
What?
Was he in the playoffs?
Was he? Wow, man. I might. You know what? I'm getting him mixed up with Kiviranta. That's exactly what I'm doing. I am getting him mixed up with Kiviranta in the playoffs.
No, Kiviranta showed out, and had himself a day like Oloffson. And see, that's another thing. You have Oloffson and Oloffson on the team as well.
Well, Oloffson, you're expecting more from him next year for Oloffson, but I completely mixed up Oloffson and Kiviranta for some ungodly reason. But go ahead.
No, it just like a lot. He gets a C because he's not creating problems. Like we saw, like the early years of Jack Johnson on the Avalanche, where he was giving pucks away and he was a liability. Oloffson, he doesn't do that. He's not a liability. He's not creating problems, and he's not somebody you have to account for and play at twice your level to account for. He gets out there and he's just there. He's a presence, and he's averaging under 10 minutes of ice time a shift. So I mean a night. So
isn't it right around 10? Isn't it like 950 something?
It's like 942, 943 somewhere in there. But
that's okay. Like I'm okay with that. Like if you can give, that's what I said. Like I felt like as it went on, he became a little bit more defined. And I was okay with his play. I didn't, he's not out there and you're going to be like, oh my God, like he's, just setting the world on fire. No, that's not what the role is. But I will be interested to see if he can come back. And again, is it one of those things where you played a season with this team and then the comfortability is there, and when you come back next year, maybe you are given a little bit more of a role. And when you do go in the playoffs, can make some sort of an impact in play. I cannot believe he only had 2 games in the playoffs.
And I'll give you one
didn't
more
play at all. A total, he's got 2 games from 22-23.
I'll give you one more fun fact about Oloffson. He had 9 points all year long. 2 of those are game-winning goals.
Really? So he's got that in his back pocket. Hey, there you go.
Maybe
overtime dynamo, Fredrik Oloffson. They probably weren't even overtimes, but
he can. But like it's something he could build off of. Like he could do it when he needs to. But I would like to see him form more of an identity. It's like LOC in the early years. I want to see Oloffson do something a little bit more.
Oh, sure, definitely. Because you want more than 9 points out of a guy that plays 57 games, even if you're on, a fourth line run, right?
Yeah, that's Kubel numbers.
And same thing with Abby Kubel. Like he was noticeable, I felt.
Yeah.
Like. He's that guy that's just a bowling ball, and he's not going to get your points, but he's noticeable when he's out there. I think Oloffson could be that guy on a more consistent basis because he's got the build. He's 6'2". He's 192 is what they have him listed as. And he's 20 years old. So he's at that, he's not this elder statesman guy that's got mileage on him. Could he slide in and just be a consistent fourth line guy for the Avs? You know what, man? Like maybe the answer to that is maybe, but where he definitely is on the cap because he's not going to cost you anything. So if you need a guy to come back and just play some fourth line minutes at a low number and kind of have some confidence that he can do it, I think you put him in there, and then maybe next year he sees some more playoff action.
No, and with Oloffson, like everything about him, like build wise, is a C. He's not oversized. He's not undersized. He's not physical. And what he needs to do this offseason, utilize that brand new guy you have in the front office, Cagliano, and say, hey, how can I stay in the league just like you did? Like you have a lot of the same. Help me find my role. And like Cogs can help develop Oloffson. And like have that conversation now that he's in-house in an advisory role. I would consult him and say, hey, I know I can stay in this league. Help me help the team. And I feel like that's a conversation that needs to happen.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, there's no rush to sign him. It's not like guys are banging down the door, but could come back.
Yeah,
he could. We'll see. So that's gonna wrap that up for Oscar Oloffson and his season grade. So there you have it, sir. All right, that is going to wrap it up for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. Still nothing on Jonathan Drouin. We're getting to crunch time. That's Monday is when he becomes available to all. So if something's going to happen, it's got to be within the next couple days.
You think we could sell that Lindsay Award and get a little kit for him?
Can you? Oh, they should allow you to do that. Sell it back for a couple $100,000. Right to Drouin.
But right. I'm commissioner waiting.
But the Hart is the most. So we have two right there. That should be worth an extra $1 million.
Yeah.
I like your style. All right, everyone. That is going to wrap it up for today and for this week. So thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys next week.